Okay, good morning. So about 3 years ago, I would have felt completely weird carrying this kettlebell up here, and I had the insatiable urge to bring it on the airplane. No idea why. It was an ordeal, but I got it here, and I used it in my fitness, but also I realized it's for Patty. So I didn't know Patty completely personally, but I watched her for years, and she taught me that my burpees are valid too, that I don't have to do crazy CrossFit stuff to be moving my body and to feel good. And so as I was preparing for this, I was thinking, like after I found out about Patty, I was thinking that how cool would it be if we did burpees for Patty? And so y'all are like, no. So I'm gonna do a burpee for Patty. I'm just gonna do a plank because I've been traveling, we do what our bodies can do. So if you know how to do a burpee, if you'll stand up. If you don't know how to do a burpee, you can squat. By the way, because of Patty, it's probably a lot of credit to her that I can even walk up those stairs, and I can bend both legs now. So I'm just so thankful for movement, and I hope you'll join me. So stand up if you're willing to do a burpee or squat 5 times. You guys are going to do 5. Nobody looked on my blouse. I'm going to do a plank. And let's do burpees for Patty, and then I'll get started. Is there anybody in here who can demo a real burpee, an unmodified burpee? Yeah, please come up here and do it. And I can show you the modified version. Yay.
It's not military style, but it's pretty
Yes. Yeah, that's awesome. And if you cannot get up at all, just throw your hands up when I get up, because I need some moral support, by the way. Okay, so, because we do what we can do. Let's do it. Ready? You guys do 5. I'm going to do 1 so I can breathe and then talk. All right. 1. I'll just count for you guys. 2. Someone count out loud. Okay, I hope nobody looked at my blouse, right? Okay. Thank you. I'm just going to leave the kettlebell up here for her today. So my name, by the way, is Ashley Matheny, and I'm here to talk to you about finding joy in the lipedema journey. These feel like they're all up in my grill. Okay. So let me start with a question. How many of you have ever felt stuck over and over? Not just a little lost, but truly stuck. Like no matter what you do, you can't seem to move forward. Maybe you're a doctor searching for better answers for your patients. Maybe you're a patient yourself struggling to find hope. Maybe you're a caregiver walking alongside someone who's in pain, wondering how you can help. Or maybe you're like I was, barely able to get out of bed, trapped in chronic pain, watching your mobility slip away, sinking deeper into depression. I understand it all. No matter what your circumstances are, it's easy to let them create cycles of defeat, waiting for things to get better instead of moving forward. Finding joy in this journey started when I stopped waiting and started creating momentum. And today, I want to share some of my story with you, where I've been, how I started, generating joy on the daily, and some tangible tools you can carry with you. For most of my adult life, I was hopeful yet stuck. I mean, I'm still in my adult life, but you know what I mean. I wanted my body to change desperately. I wanted to have more energy and more experiences. I wanted the right doctor or fitness professional to tell me what to do. I wanted to feel worthy enough to take action. And in all that dreaming and feeling stuck, I was slowly losing myself. I lived in seasons of being so triggered by comparing my body with the success of others in the community. I wasn't seeing transformation in bodies as far gone as my own, so I felt hopeless and defeated. All I was seeing around me was everyone else's finish line, while I was unconsciously stuck and afraid to even take a step. I would have worried about walking up these steps the entire time. Like, first of all, I wouldn't have applied to be a speaker. Second of all, I wouldn't have made it up those stairs. And it would have consumed me this entire conference. But here I am, so hi. I thought healing only existed in the before and after. When I lost the weight, when I got healthier, when I finally figured it all out. And if I wasn't in the after yet, I thought maybe I didn't deserve healing or a better body at all. After all, wasn't this my fault? I was so hard on myself. If I wasn't completely free of inflammation, was I even trying? If I still had legs and arms like this, wasn't I failing? If I didn't look like the success stories I saw online, did my effort even count? It takes so much effort to see any change with lipedema, right? My thoughts surrounding this condition left me feeling like I wasn't allowed to shine. My light had to stay dimmed because my body wasn't worthy, especially not worthy to myself. But here's the truth. Healing is not a destination. I'm just going to throw my papers on the floor. Healing is a choice. It isn't about arriving somewhere new. It's about choosing to step forward over and over again. And that's where I have found joy. On the daily level and even further when I've had breakthrough moments, like doing something I've never felt able to do before. It's a choice to show up. It's a choice to be present in your own life. It's a choice to say, I am here, I choose to be here, and I want to be here. And in that choice is what saved me and lifted me above my circumstances. It was my entry point to healing and breakthrough. I decided that I can do this work, and you can too. This is something that I recommit to every single day because life in this body, it gets hard. I don't always wake up well, and so I wake up and recommit to doing whatever I can, and you can also. If I'm here, God's not done is my mantra. This is where the joy-generating process gets to begin, because we're not focusing on all of the negative or what the world is hitting us with first thing in the morning. We get to decide, give gratitude for right now, and before anything else, we can pray and just dedicate our days. This matters so much to me because I know what it's like to feel too far gone. I know what it's like to believe that healing is for everybody else, but it's not for me. And I know that every single person in this room, no matter where you are in your journey, you deserve to feel hope. So today, I want to challenge you. What if you stopped waiting for whatever it is you're waiting for, or whatever version of yourself you want to be, and be her right now, or him right now? What if you stopped waiting for the after and started embracing where you are right now? Perhaps this is something you already do. Thank yourself for that gift. What if you're already everything you desire? There's nothing else you need to do. What would that feel like? When we tap into this, we get to stop looking to everyone and everything else and become our own solution. There is so much joy and acceptance in that. What if we start creating joy in whatever ways light us up instead of waiting for it? Because I believe that's where everything changes. Over the next few minutes, I'll take you through key moments in my journey, share what's helped me the most, and leave you with tools you can take with you. Because healing and wholeness aren't for people who want them. It's not for people who dream about who they could be. It's for people who show up and go for it and accept what belongs to them. Just like in this room, you have belonging in this world. You deserve healing, and you get to create your own experience. It's about choosing to show up right now, exactly as you are, and let that be enough. What if you're already enough? So this is me. I was always a big kid. By kindergarten and first grade, I was around 5 feet tall. I got there pretty quickly, and I was over 100 pounds. In every class picture, I stood aligned with the teacher, almost. In kindergarten, I was very close, eventually being taller than everyone, I think. My legs were normal until maybe 4th grade, but I'm sure to the experts there were signs. But 6th grade, that's when everything changed. I started the year in shorts, begging to keep wearing them as the fall season got colder. But by winter, something had shifted. My legs were swelling rapidly. By the way, that's like a Disney World thing, that weird thing in the middle of that statue. My calves especially felt heavy in a way I couldn't explain. And by the time spring came again, I never wore shorts again. My body had changed so drastically in those few months that I wouldn't change for gym class because I didn't have access to clothes that fit and that I was comfortable in. And I was probably an extra large on top and a 3XL on the bottom, like a 24. My days of wearing pants outside of 1 to 3 stores were over, and I had no idea why. Middle school is already brutal, but middle school, when your body feels wrong, that's a special kind of torture. This is also when the hiding and shame began to sink in. I had been bullied relentlessly in elementary school for my size, but legs like these made me feel I need to hide. It wasn't just appearance, it was the physical sensation of walking through resistance, along with not having many friends and feeling isolated. I also have this memory of a time when someone told a fat joke, and my only friends, they laughed. I wasn't embarrassed, I was mortified. It wasn't just about my size. It was the way my body felt. I was heavy and I was uncomfortable, and I never want to race with these legs. And since I didn't know how to fix it, I did the only thing I knew how to do. I ignored it. I played the funny, positive, and energetic girl when I wasn't feeling shy. I thought fat women were assumed to be lazy, and I wanted to be anything but that. Perhaps at a young age, I made the choice to turn down the volume of my authenticity in this way. I pretended my legs didn't exist. It sounds ridiculous to say that out loud, but I got good at disconnecting from my body altogether. Because if I didn't acknowledge it, maybe it wouldn't hurt so much. I was probably eating similarly to my friends when all of this started. It was the generation of pizza rolls after school and some soda, you know. But then a shame cycle was created, which also led to my food and sugar addiction, because I realized that food could be a great escape for me, and it helped me to dissociate from my body. I became addicted to that, even though it would be so long before I could ever realize the extent of this. As I got older, I lived in that denial. I think I was stuck in fight or flight due to undiagnosed PTSD and other factors that I didn't even take the time to examine how I was living my life in many seasons. My weight was fluctuating constantly. Scales only went to 350, and so I had no idea the impact of inflammation and my choices had on my body, because I probably reached that in middle school. I wanted to so desperately to stand out, but also to blend in. I wanted to appear normal. I learned how to hide in plain sight. I also learned how to be dynamic, funny, and likable, so people enjoyed my company so much that they didn't think about or comment on my weight. In group pictures, I positioned myself in the back corner. When people mentioned my weight, I acted fine, but it sent me back a lot because I am so sensitive. I probably remember every single negative comment someone ever made about me in my life, but I have tried to release these things from my emotional memory, and I'm just so sensitive. Then in 2015, I was Googling my legs. Someone had said something that I might have a disease, and so I was Googling, and I stumbled onto something online. I saw a photo of a woman with legs just like mine, and for the first time, I had a name for what I was experiencing: lipedema. I felt hopeful, relieved that I wasn't just lazy or undisciplined, but instead of taking action, I just watched. For years, I became obsessed with research. I lurked in Facebook groups, listening to other people's experiences. I read medical articles, I bought lists of supplements I didn't take, I consumed everything I could find. I was also seeing a lot about how lipedema is diet and exercise resistant, and so it didn't seem like my efforts mattered. And I was so inflamed, I couldn't really weigh myself. I had no idea when I was making progress. I took all of that information as evidence that I couldn't do this. I didn't go to a doctor for this until 2018. How would I even access care? Will every single doctor just assume I'm fat because of my own terrible choices? I couldn't imagine having those conversations. There was so much self-doubt, and shame seemed to weigh me down so much whenever I thought about going to the doctor. Because deep down, I didn't believe there was anything I could do about it that would be enough to satisfy my desire for normal legs. And everything I saw online at that time made me feel even more hopeless. There was a lot of victim mindset in the social media groups, and I'm not blaming a single woman, but it just wasn't healthy for me at the time. I was hearing things like, your body and legs will only negatively progress. At your stage, surgery is your only option. There's no way to lose the weight. I felt trapped. I continued to grasp at glimmers of hope and kept looking outside myself, not realizing that all I needed was right here. So I did what I had done since middle school. I numbed myself. I turned to food for comfort. I buried myself in work. I took care of others while ignoring myself. Because if I didn't acknowledge my pain, I wouldn't have to deal with it. And in my work, Even though I feel called to help children to feel confident and empowered in their learning and to love themselves and their capabilities, I was at war with my own inner child. I felt like I was drowning, stuck in bed more and more, but I always held on to the glimmers of hope, staying coachable and absorbing as much personal development as I could. And then I went on a trip in 2022. It was supposed to be a beautiful occasion, and yet it was the moment that broke me open. The walk to the beach was less than a mile from our beach house, but to me it felt like a marathon. My legs felt so heavy. I was breathless before I even got to the path. By the time I reached the beach, my muscles were screaming and I felt so fatigued. And when I sat in a low beach chair, I didn't get back up to enjoy the beach. I sat there the whole time worrying how to get back up and how I was even going to make it back to the house. When it was time to stand up, I knew it was going to take all of my might to even get up. I was so relieved to casually have someone offering to help me up, just being friendly. I was so thankful to have someone strong enough to pull me up. But I also hated that I couldn't easily do it by myself. After all, I was in my 30s. I wanted my own strength. I was desperate to have my own strength, and I wanted to be able to enjoy myself. I wanted to feel freedom in my own body. And looking back at the state of health that I was in, I was probably one season away from immobility or a health incident that would set me way back. My A1C was 12.6, metformin wasn't touching it, and my blood pressure was through the roof. And so immediately after that trip, I arrived home before my family because I flew with a little part of my family, and I hit a true emotional and spiritual and physical rock bottom. I ate Easter dinner alone and I pleaded with God. I want to be here. I choose to be here. Help me get out of my own way. I remember it so vividly. I made a promise to God and to myself that I will choose to show up and refuse to give up. One day at a time for at least 1 year. And in that moment, I stopped waiting and watching, and I stopped starting over. I started eating to nourish and heal my body. I went all in on keto and anti-inflammatory eating. I started moving however I could. I started showing up for myself even when I didn't feel ready. I decided that how I feel doesn't get to dictate what I choose to do on any given day. I make and keep agreements with myself. I stayed grateful. This is the season where I'm stuck on the screen. I forgot to change the slides. And I became open to the idea that I don't know why I'm here, but I'm committed to being here, and my heart and my will are open. I had been a woman who canceled and didn't show up, and perhaps didn't feel worthy of existing. This is when I decided that I am a woman of integrity. I do what I say I'm going to do, and this is when everything changed. I also can't tell my story without acknowledging addiction. Food addiction, sugar addiction, eating disorder recovery, and other kinds of addiction recovery are not something I hear a whole lot about in our community. I have a little bit this week. But the shame cycle is very real, and so I want to make it clear that I've had to walk a 12-step journey with some of my behaviors, and especially my food addiction. It's not easy for me to separate emotions from food decisions and do something like the Mediterranean diet. I can follow those things, but not on my own will. I've had to surrender my food to my higher power, as corny as that sounds. It really is that serious for me. Once I chose to walk this path, I realized how much denial I was in around my choices. Do I think lipedema exacerbated my weight more than I ate? Yes, of course. But one indicator for needing this for me, beyond my size and habits, was how good I began to feel when I cut out sugar. I felt so much mentally lighter, but I was stuck in unhealthy cycles. I still didn't want to stay in the chaos, and I was tired of silently dying, and I wanted recovery. As I continued on my journey, I continued to peel layers of the onion and recognize my own behavior, and I turned to God to help me with it. And that has created a layer of peace for me that things like GLP-1s and even ignoring the issue ever will. How can you find whatever peace you desire, because that can also translate into your joy? And then I have some slides of proof of that I'm healing. This is the Florida trip. I don't turn slides. But here's some proof that I'm healing, not just in how I feel, but through tangible evidence. None of this is proving what I can do. I'm sharing proof that you can too. Even anyone who feels like they're too far gone. One of the first pictures, so I started meal prepping and I started cooking for the first time in my whole life. And then in that second picture, I'm signing the gym board for 500 classes, and I've hit 600 classes since 2022. And it took so much to work my way up to even moving my body because I felt so stuck. I followed the gym owner on social media for a while before I had the guts to walk through the doors. I loved what she stood for: mindset, empowerment, but movement terrified me. The people in there seemed friendly, but I wasn't being friendly to myself. I told myself, if I could just lose a little weight first, maybe then I'd be ready. Maybe it would be less painful because I could barely move. I mean, getting up from the couch, like I would stand up and sometimes I'd fall back down and have to try again. Like it was that bad. I finally walked in the door at 470 pounds. My highest weight was 555, and around the Florida trip I was 509, and I just didn't want to be in that territory anymore. So when I finally started attending, I could only squat to a high box. There were several things that I modified, and I stalked Patty's Instagram relentlessly, trying to figure out how to even do this stuff. I mean, I had people helping me, but also I wanted to know before I went, so I'd be less scared. So that's how Patty really helped me too. Getting up and down from the floor was tragic, but if I wanted to right now, I could get on the floor and get back up, and that means so much to me. The first day, I made a conscious effort I had to make a conscious effort to even make eye contact with these people with muscles. Like that was huge for me. I spent years believing that fit and healthy people deserved movement and strength, and I didn't. I didn't feel worthy of being in the same room as them. And then now I'm at over 600 classes. I still have bad days. I still modify things when I need to, but I just don't stop showing up. Some days I just go in and I like flail around on the floor and stretch a little bit and then leave, but I feel better and I have went. So healing happens in showing up. You don't have to be ready. You just get to start and keep going. And then I have another picture up there that's like a trash bag full of clothes, because when you live in a body that doesn't fit into regular size clothing, you don't shop, you hoard. I don't know if anybody else does that. Because what if you never find something that fits again? I spent years rotating through the same maxi skirts because I couldn't even fit into jeans. I had piles of clothing in sizes 26 to 36 just in case my body fluctuated. That's a big fluctuation, by the way, but that was my mindset. The day I walked into Target and bought jeans, it wasn't even the largest size. I could fit into just a regular pair of jeans, not from a specialty plus size store. I was thrilled. I realized I had been operating out of scarcity for years. The belief that I would never have access to what others did, so I had to hold on to everything just in case. So I've been purging and purging and purging and clearing up my space, and it's beautiful. So healing isn't just physical, it's about the mental freedom to trust that you will be okay. And then there's a picture, just with the keto in a few months, my A1C went from 12.6 to 5.2. It didn't quite go down that fast, but it was in the 5s pretty quickly, or 6s. And then for years, I was exhausted. I could sleep all day. I lived in a fog. I felt like my body was literally shutting down from the inside when I started. So I had to take action with that. And then there's a picture here of me with a waterfall, and there were a lot of stairs. To be honest, stairs were my nemesis, and I'm still not friends with them. But I can climb them, and I don't worry about them, and I might be out of breath, but I can do it. And then I completed a 5K in 45 minutes. I was the slowest one. By the time I finished, they were literally deflating the finish line. But I didn't care because I finished. I might not want to do it again, but I did it. So think about today, what new goals can you pursue to help you feel alive? And then for so long, travel felt impossible. I avoided it because of how hard it was on my body. In 2023, I stopped waiting. I booked trips, I explored, I opened myself up to new experiences, and I even became willing to show up in the presence of other women, knowing that I am just as worthy as they are. And now I'm coaching women through their own journeys. What once felt impossible for me is something that I get to help others achieve. And I was going to include a picture. I have this picture of me eating a rotisserie chicken, and it's great. It's on Facebook. I'll have to share it later. But eating in front of others felt deeply uncomfortable. I was hyper aware of how my body took up space and what was on my plate and how others might perceive me. I would normally eat in public and then binge in private. I felt shame about what I ate, about my hunger, my body's needs. I wanted to look like I had it all together when I really didn't. And I would eat a little bit in front of people and go binge in private, but now I can sit comfortably at a table in front of my friends and actually enjoy the moment without spinning into guilt. And so this is still a work in progress. It's not about what I eat, it's about how I exist in my own body. And then showing up in my business. Before my health journey, I was functioning in my business. I was barely functioning in my business. I was canceling tutoring sessions. I was working from home, but I could still barely show up. Once I committed to my health, my entire life changed. I have multiplied my income since deciding that I'm a woman of integrity who shows up, and I've had a lot of messes to clean up from my bad season. But I'm here, and I'm doing better. And that's the biggest lesson. I will show up messy, I will show up imperfect, I will show up tired, and I will show up late, but I will not quit. I didn't do this alone. My journey hasn't been mine to walk, but I've never walked it without love and support. I did lose some people along the way, and that's felt lonely at times, but I know that I'm never truly alone. If you're struggling today, lean on the people who believe in you. And if you don't have that yet, borrow my belief and friendship, because I know that you are capable more than you think. Capable more than you think. And then healing is choosing to live every single day. When we are cracked open, it hurts like heck, but it lets the light in. And the world needs us with light. The world needs us open so that we can be of service to others. If I were to give you tangible tools to walk away with today, it would be that, number one, visualization and dreaming, it's great, but it's important to take action. You can do this. You can intentionally visualize the worst part of yourself as the best part of yourself every single day. You can think about the results you want and actually go for it. You are enough and you have enough. Number two, become aware of your thoughts intentionally. You have the power to consciously pivot your thinking toward the positive. It's hard work, but eventually I started being able to distinguish between the truth and the lies within my own thinking. I highly encourage therapy or coaching or even YouTube videos that can be accessible to you to do the work. Never stop working on your thoughts, because thoughts become actions and actions become our lives. Keep freaking showing up is number three. And you can insert the real F word if you want to. If you forget everything else I've said, do this one thing. If you don't have your own hope and strength right now, you can borrow mine or that of anyone else in this community, because we are here for each other, and that is what is so beautiful. Joy isn't in just the before and after. Joy is in the middle. It's in the moment you decide to show up. It's what elevates you beyond your circumstances. So if you're waiting, stop. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for someone to save you. Stop waiting for your body to be different. Just decide. Just show up, because the miracle happens in the middle. And before you leave this room, if you're not going to pee your pants, please pause and honor yourself. Grab some paper from your friend if you don't have any. Jot down an affirmation statement. I'm a teacher, by the way, I have to give homework. Jot down an affirmation statement you can build on later that will help remind yourself that you are worthy, that you're going to show up, and think of an action that you can be consistent with for the next 30 days, one day at a time, with no starting over. You can borrow my example and even my hope if you need to. And if you're like me and you're afraid of that piece of metal, you can touch it if you want. Thank you.